The story begins in a Siberian camp where hundreds of German prisoners were being held captive. Despite the absence of guards for security, no one dared to escape. The reality was that even if someone managed to flee, they wouldn't survive for more than a few days in the bone-chilling cold of the Arctic Circle. However, there was one soldier who was determined to break free and return to his wife and daughter. His name was Clement Farrell, and one day he got his chance to escape. Late at night, he stealthily climbed into a coal cart, and as the train started moving, he felt immense joy under the starry sky. But suddenly, the train came to an abrupt stop. Clement carefully peeked outside but was spotted by a Soviet soldier. He was immediately caught and locked inside a pigsty. To make matters worse, a torrential downpour began. Yet Clement held his ground for 3 whole days without food or water. Eventually, the warden released him, saying, "Your comrades are waiting for you." When Clement returned to the tunnel, he found his comrades furious, waiting with weapons in hand. His escape attempt had caused them to be starved for 3 days. Suddenly, they attacked Clement, beating him mercilessly like a dog. Badly injured, he was taken to the camp doctor. The doctor, who was also a prisoner, was deeply impressed by Clement's bravery and determination to escape. The doctor explained that escaping the Arctic Circle was nearly impossible. Everyone who had ever tried was killed. However, he also revealed a chilling truth. Even those who didn't attempt to escape were doomed to die eventually. The prisoners were forced to mine lead every day, and the slow poisoning from inhaling lead dust meant that death was inevitable. Understanding this, the doctor advised Clement to take his chances and escape. The doctor then handed over all his warm clothes and shoes to Clement and shared a secret. Food was hidden at intervals along the railway tracks. Moreover, he gave Clement a gun. The doctor had originally prepared for his own escape, but a month earlier, he learned he had cancer and wouldn't live beyond a month, even if he fled. Before sending Clement off, the doctor gave him his lunchbox and requested, "If you succeed, please deliver the news of my death to my family." That night, Clement escaped once more. By morning, the warden was informed of his absence and interrogated the doctor. But by then, the doctor had sacrificed his life. Meanwhile, Clement pressed forward with full determination, braving snow and fierce winds. The warden deployed troops to search for him, but even after several days, there was no trace of Clement. Everyone assumed he had frozen to death in the snow, but the warden remained convinced he was alive and ordered the search to continue. 9 days into his escape, Clement spotted a sled pursuing him. He ran as fast as he could, but the sled eventually overtook him and ran him down. Startled, Clement suddenly woke up. It was all a hallucination. He was still alive, surrounded by a vast expanse of white snow, with no food left. His spirits sank, and he prayed for a miracle. But in the endless Arctic wilderness, there was nothing but ice and snow. With no other options, Clement trudged on for a few more days until his body gave out, and he fainted from hunger. Sometime later, he woke up to a strange sound. He looked around and saw a seal, and his eyes lit up. Grabbing his gun with trembling hands, he fired several shots, but none of them hit the target. The seal tried to escape, but Clement chased after it. Finally, as it entered the icy water, Clement fired again and managed to kill it. After eating the seal, he bandaged his feet to protect them from the cold. Rested and slightly rejuvenated, Clement resumed his journey. To avoid losing his sanity in the long and solitary trek, he kept talking to himself. Occasionally, he checked his direction with a compass to ensure he didn't get lost. After several days of walking, he spotted a tree in the middle of the snow. Overjoyed, he ran and hugged it. This tree signaled that, after 2 months of continuous walking, he had finally reached the edge of the Arctic Circle. On the other hand, the warden had not given up and ordered a search within a 500-kilometer radius. Meanwhile, Clement reached the forest, but suddenly a fierce snowstorm began. The storm was so powerful that even massive trees were uprooted. As Clement was moving forward, a huge tree fell on him. Fortunately, 2 men named Sam John and Matten, who were searching for gold in the area, rescued him. The 3 men then decided to move forward together. As the weather began to clear, They improvised a raft to cross the river. The three men shared their life stories with each other. But soon, the river's current became extremely strong, making it difficult for Clement and Matten to control the raft. Suddenly, Sam John's balance slipped, and he fell into the river. Sam John was on the verge of drowning when Clement, without a second thought for his own life, dived into the water. After a great struggle, he managed to pull Sam John to the shore. Meanwhile, Matten abandoned them and continued ahead on his own. When Matten reached his hut, he assumed that Sam John had drowned in the river. Taking advantage of the situation, he stole Sam John's gold and other valuables. But moments later, Sam John and Clement arrived at the hut. Furious at Matten's betrayal, Sam John shot and killed him. After this, Sam John and Clement packed their belongings and resumed their journey. As winter set in, traveling became even more challenging. To lighten Sam John's load, Clement offered to carry his bag. However, Sam John suspected that Clement was trying to steal his gold. Driven by paranoia, Sam John attacked Clement with his bag, rendering him unconscious. When Clement regained consciousness, he saw a pack of wolves running toward him. The hungry wolves began pulling at his pants, trying to drag him down. Despite his efforts, the small tree he was holding onto fell, and Clement found himself face to face with death. Suddenly, the sound of gunfire rang out, killing the wolves. Shepherds from the area had arrived and saved Clement's life. They carried him to their village, where they treated his injuries. Clement's body soon recovered, and he was overjoyed to be among people again after so long. He made friends with many of the shepherds. However, a notice from the prison warden eventually reached the village, warning that anyone harboring Clement would be executed. Forced to leave, Clement bid farewell to the shepherds, who gave him plenty of food and a hunting dog as a parting gift. Now, with the dog as his companion, Clement no longer felt alone on his journey. Together, they traveled for nearly a year. One day, they reached a lumber mill, where Clement's dog ran off in search of food, but was chased away by some workers. When Clement approached, the workers recognized him. The mill's owner, however, took pity on him, fed him, and even arranged for him to board a train to Germany. Clement was thrilled, knowing he was finally on his way home. But little did he know, the mill owner had alerted the authorities. The prison warden and his soldiers were waiting for Clement at the train station. Fortunately, Clement spotted the soldiers at the station and seized an opportunity to flee. However, moments later, the warden caught him red-handed. Clement's hopes seemed dashed, but his hunting dog suddenly attacked the warden, biting him viciously. The dog's loyalty gave Clement another chance to escape, but as he ran, he heard gunshots. He realized the warden had killed his dog. Grieving his companion's death, Clement pressed on, determined to survive. Seizing another chance, Clement climbed onto a bridge and jumped onto a passing train below. Once again, he narrowly escaped capture. He continued his journey, and time passed. By 1952, Clement was penniless and starving. He wandered into a fair and saw delicious food, but the vendor shooed him away. Disheartened, he moved on and stopped at a pancake stall, where two girls greeted him kindly. However, having no money, Clement sadly walked away. One kind-hearted girl, moved by his plight, broke off a piece of pancake and handed it to him through a child. Clement hesitated at first but eventually accepted it. A Jewish man nearby witnessed the entire scene. As Clement wandered further, he entered a church and prayed with folded hands, asking God for help. The Jewish man followed him into the church but did not hand him over to the police. The man, having been a war prisoner himself, understood Clement's suffering. He took Clement to his home, where he bathed and returned to his old self. The Jewish man provided him with a passport and some papers, bringing tears to Clement's eyes. Finally, with the passport in hand, Clement crossed the Soviet border. After some questioning, he was allowed to proceed. However, upon looking back, Clement realized he was still on Soviet soil, meaning the warden could still arrest him. Clement's heart sank, as his years of hardship and struggle for freedom seemed futile. But then he saw the warden step aside. Clement could hardly believe his eyes as he cautiously moved forward. The truth was, Clement's relentless determination to survive and his harrowing 7-year journey had won over the warden's heart. The warden allowed him to go, knowing that, as a soldier, he could have ended Clement's quest by arresting him. In this way, the warden felt victorious, yet merciful. Clement finally crossed the border and returned home, where his wife and daughter were heading to church. Clement followed them into the church, and his daughter immediately recognized him. She ran to him and embraced him tightly. What do you think? Did the warden do the right thing, or was it betrayal to his country? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.